Moria woke early, the morning mist still clinging to the fields as she hastily rode her broom over to the tall trees where Clever, the cunning white crow, perched high above. From the distance, she could hear the crows cawing through the trees. The morning was alive with chatter. She spotted Clever, looking down intently. "What are you up to so early?" she asked. Clever, without looking away, replied, "I'm searching, hopefully spotting a glare of the spectacles that Daleth lost last night. Have you seen them by chance?" Moria shook her head. "No, but I have a proposition for you." Clever tilted his head in curiosity. Moria explained, "I think we should join forces. With your charismatic cunningness and my magic, we could sell more pumpkins at the Chickentown market and make a fortune." Clever scoffed. "I don't need your help, Moria. I'm doing just fine on my own." But Moria insisted, promising that her magic could help him scale his earnings to new heights. Reluctantly, and unsure why, Clever agreed to the partnership, though a nagging doubt remained in the back of his mind. Perhaps he easily agreed so she would leave him alone so he could continue his search. Meanwhile, Daleth was still searching frantically for her lost spectacles, her vision blurry and her balance unsteady. After all, without her glasses, she was as blind as the albino bat, Chin, Clever's guard bat. Clever returned to his perch to continue the search when the Harvest Lord, who had been watching from below, also asked what he was doing. Clever explained the situation, and the Harvest Lord thought for a moment. "I remember seeing a strange glare on the trail last night. It might have been her spectacles." Together, they went to the location the Harvest Lord remembered, and sure enough, there were Daleth's lost glasses, reflecting the morning light from the path. The Harvest Lord handed them to Daleth, who gratefully put them on. "I'll be more responsible next time," she promised as she flew away on her tiny broom. As the evening progressed, Daleth returned and asked Clever, "Is Ghoul still around?" Clever chuckled. "You've got your glasses on now, silly. Can't you see him? He's right there," and pointed at him. Daleth looked at the Harvest Lord and took off again, laughing as she rode her broom into the distance. Clever, thinking about the deal he made with Moria, told the Harvest Lord of their partnership. The Harvest Lord frowned. "Don't trust her," he warned. "Moria is deceitful and greedy. Her hunger for power will never be satisfied. Plus, give her enough spellbooks and she will brew her own downfall." But Clever, always willing to give others a chance, decided to wait and see. However, when the day came to take the pumpkins to the Chickentown market, Moria and Daniel Thorne were nowhere to be found. They were still sleeping the day away in their cozy crooked cottage, leaving Clever to load the pumpkins himself. Fortunately, Daleth agreed to help, and with a very small mouse, they began loading the pumpkins into a carriage. When Daleth said, "There are too many, we'll never finish. I will brush and get my mother to help us." "You mean rush," Clever said. "Whatever," she said while zooming off. Moments later you could hear the hard-pressed approaching hoofs. Daleth's mom was turned into a cow the day of the sibling rivalry. Her name was Medusa, a negative-minded cow because she always killed Daleth's, and her dad Clever's joy and ideas. Medusa decided she would pull the buggy to the Chickentown market, so she could help them with the pumpkins. As they began their journey to the market, Clever flew overhead, scanning the road from above. To his alarm, he saw a tree that had fallen across the path. He swooped down and told Daleth and Medusa, "We'll have to take the next turn." Daleth hesitated and Medusa did too. But that path was haunted, and no one dared to travel it either. Daleth said, "We have no choice," Clever replied. "We must take the gap between the trees if we're going to reach Chickentown." Medusa turned and headed down the path, and so they ventured down the dark, haunted trail slowly. Eerie sounds crept from the forest and faint whispers filled the air. A very small mouse, hiding inside one of the pumpkins, eventually was lulled to sleep despite the fearsome noises. A light purple fog began to seep from the fields, swirling around them as they pressed on. Running came from the brush and scared them, but it was only deer. Just when the haunted path seemed too frightening to bear, the distant glow of the Chickentown market lights came into view. guiding them out of the Carlithian forest and into the neighboring Gradient forest. They had made it to market. At the market, flying in on her broom, Moria and Daniel Thorne finally arrived. "Sorry we're late," Moria said, as if she was going to be a lot of help. "I had chores to finish before I could leave." She added. Clever, unconvinced, didn't respond. He was too busy preparing for the first annual pumpkin carving contest. Moria, eager to make herself useful, waved her wand, crafting a grand sign for the contest. "About time you did something," Daniel Thorne muttered. Moria shrugged off his comment. As the contest preparations continued, a very small mouse, still inside the pumpkin, stuck her head out and overheard Moria muttering her true intentions. She planned to cast a spell to make the townspeople prefer her pumpkins over Clevera's at the booth. Daniel Thorne saw a very small mouse and his natural instincts kicked in. He attempted to get a very small mouse, but it found another way out of the reverse side of the pumpkin, rushing to Clever, sharing everything she had heard, while Daniel Thorne clawed his claws into the pumpkin trying to get her. He scratched and clawed because he could smell the scent of a very small mouse still inside the pumpkin. "The Harvest Lord was right," Clever muttered under his breath. "Moria cannot be trusted." But with the contest about to begin, Clever had no time to confront her. He needed all the help he could get, even if Moria's efforts were selfish and Daniel Thorne was lazy. As the contest was underway, Moria stood at the back, watching the townspeople marvel at Clever's pumpkins. Though she had planned to use a spell to sway their favor, she couldn't do it in front of everyone. If she hadn't been late, she would have cast the spell in time. Clever's pumpkins were winning hearts without any magic, simply because of the care and generosity he had shown. Bitterness welled up in Moria's chest. She had offered Clever her help, but he was outshining her without even trying. "How dare he? I have magic older than him," she said, and still the townspeople loved his pumpkins more. With the pumpkin carving contest underway, Clever had to pick a winner. Everyone was carving pumpkins. Finalists were chosen and Daniel Thorne was still attempting to get into the pumpkin and eat a very small mouse. When Clever looked at the pumpkins, he chose pumpkin number 4, and it was the pumpkin Daniel Thorne was scratching and clawing and couldn't get into. He looked up puzzled and confused and said meow. He won and Moria grew upset that everyone wins, even her cat. And though it seemed that all the townspeople were lured by Clever's kindness. The seasons may change, but her heart and greed never will. Later that night, after the market closed and the contest ended, Moria returned to her cottage, her mood dark and stormy. Daniel Thorne curled up by the hearth, watching her with lazy interest. Couldn't help but remind her who won, and he rubbed it in. "Show off," she scoffed. "Well?" he asked. "How did your plan work out?" "Mine worked out great. I won the carving contest and did well." Moria didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood by the window, staring out at the moonlit forest, her hands clenched at her sides. "You were right," she finally said. "He doesn't need me. He never did." Daniel Thorne yawned. "So what now?" Moria's lips twisted into a bitter smile. "Next year it will be different. I'll make sure of it," she said. "It sure will. I'll plan ahead and think of ideas to carve for my next creation." The cat added. She moved to her spellbook, flipping through the pages until she found what she was looking for. A spell that would ruin Clevera's next harvest. She would make sure his pumpkins rotted in the field before they ever had a chance to grow. "You're really going to do this?" Daniel Thorne asked, stretching lazily. "I am, and you'll see," Moria replied, her eyes gleaming with determination. "He won this year, but next year, I'll take everything. And while you take everything, I will surely take the carving contest again." "I was born for this," he said. Moria sickened by his bragging. "What?" he asked. "You're looking at a winner here. Take notes, I know what I talk about and do," he said. And so, as Clever celebrated his victory at the Chicken Town market, Moria plotted in the shadows of her cottage, her heart hardened with envy. She would never be satisfied, and her hunger for power would only grow stronger with time. Sometimes success comes when you least expect it, while true effort and determination don't always guarantee victory.